What if I told you that the perfect man did exist, but he was cursed? I mean, he's just a complete handicapper. East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. Might be the best I've ever seen. He could be the best looking guy in all of horse racing. I mean, he gives Matt Bernier a run for his money. I mean, we all saw it. He was minding his own business, walking back from the bathroom. Hottest girl in the bar just grabs him and says, "Reel me in." Turns out you can't always be that lucky, though.
Zulu Alpha charges up the rail under Tyler Gaffleon and takes the lead late. Zulu Alpha wins the Pegasus World Cup Turf.
Happy Thursday, everybody. It's Josh here with On the Wrong Lead at Cherry Drink on Twitter. And man, this felt like a long week. I don't know if it's just me, but this was a rough one. Work's been real busy. We coming off a bit of a break over the holiday, but for some of us, we get a 3-day holiday. Caleb, are you one of the people that gets a 3-day holiday?
So I'm off tomorrow because we're on a 980 schedule, so I get every other Friday off. So I do have a 3-day weekend, but I do not get Monday off for the holiday, unfortunately.
Unfortunate. So you get to, instead of getting a daytime Santa Anita card, you get to play the likes of Oaklawn and Aqueduct.
Yeah, and recently Fairgrounds.
Yeah, you turned it around. You were Mr. Like, I'm not gonna play Fairgrounds. Like, even though it's in your backyard, now you're like,
It's never been a track I do well at. The last 2 or 3 years, I've killed Oaklawn and Winter Aqueduct. But this year, I've had trouble at both of them, especially Oaklawn. I've really just not seen the ball there. So Fairgrounds randomly runs on Mondays this year, I guess. So I was kind of dabbling there the last couple of weeks, and finally got off the schneid for 2022. Had a decent hit, and Fairgrounds might be new year, new me.
Well, that's good to hear, because I know sometimes I feel like I toss out Fairgrounds picks in our private chat, and it's just like me and like Sheldon firing it away, and it's just silent. Yeah. So speaking of, there is another person in our chat who I do know likes to play Fairgrounds every once in a while. It's Mr. Brian Duransky. Brian, hello. I know you're a fan of the Fairgrounds every once in a while.
Only when Mitch is on an 8-1 horse. That's the rule for me. Bet Mitch, get half rich. It's an interesting track. It makes a lot of sense. If you like turf racing in the winter, what are your choices? Gulfstream, Santa Anita, or Fairgrounds? So, Fairgrounds it is.
What are you talking about? You don't like the Tapeta at Turfway Park? That counts as turf racing, right?
It does not count as turf racing to me. You can't. That's not the typical turf synthetic.
Speaking of people who don't count as turf racing, Mark.
That was a rough transition, Josh. I expect.
I mean, they all can't be bangers. Sometimes they just, like sometimes you just gotta work with.
I thought you'd do like a speaking of turf racing. Let's roll into Santa Anita that we're going to cover today.
We are going to cover Santa Anita. We're going to cover what do they call it? Isn't that Sunshine Millions? That's GP, right? What is this? Is this California Cup? California Cup Day?
There actually is a Sunshine Millions race on the card for Lord knows what reason, but I don't know what it is. It's cow bred something day.
Dude, I have to highlight something in chat because I saw something hilarious on Twitter. Right, John Massey says more people on the stream here than horses in the starting gate at Santa Anita. Somebody, I believe, John Massey was talking about music, and somebody commented, "It's like Jesus, John Massey. Like I keep on forgetting that you're not like 60." So good old cranky John Massey over there, the old professor.
There's also less people on performance-enhancing drugs in the stream.
That is true.
Then in the starting gate at Santa Anita? Is that what you're going for?
I let you infer what you want.
Okay.
Why do I can lead you to water. Why do I have to make you drink it?
Well, that's smart. That's why.
Let's take a look more in chat. We do got Road Warrior on here. Road Warrior saying what's up. He says only 2 weeks. I don't know what he's talking about. What's in 2 weeks, Mark?
I would imagine the NHC.
Okay.
It's a thing that happens in Vegas. You might be aware of it, Josh.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually booked for the. I booked my ticket for the last chance, first chance. I got something going on here.
I'm still trying to book said ticket for last chance, first chance. So
nice. Ryan Howard saying what's up. Ryan's always an early bird here. We got Dennis Trusty showing up again. He's trolling in the chat. I think I saw him earlier today on the Horse Racing Nation live stream. Over they were doing some Sam Houston stuff, and I was also trolling in the chat there. Jared Bush, yes, Jared Bush. Mark's put our info in there. Send us an email. We'll get you on, buddy. And then let's see who else we got here. Ryan's at Cal Cup Day. And let's welcome in our guest, Caleb. Caleb has decided to, I don't know. This is what Caleb sees probably after a couple baby splashes and.
Yes, that's not just me, right? I'm like a blurry, grainy mess.
Yeah,
I prefer this. This is a better Caleb look.
Try tapping your camera, like actually tap it and see if the mechanism.
Yeah, because it's focusing up close, just not.
See, I thought I was grainy. This is I actually look better than Caleb right now. Let's leave him like that. Let's leave Caleb like that.
I mean, for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it is what
See, maybe it's not us guys. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not my camera. Maybe it's not Caleb's. Maybe Restream's having issues tonight. Maybe just maybe.
New year, new you.
Oh man, Jared, I'm not shaving the beard. No, I have. If I look like I'm like 12 if I shave my beard. I mean, I guess the hair's all gone away, so maybe I don't look like I'm 12 anymore. But it's just not a good look. Not good.
Look at Helen Keller down in the corner.
Poor Caleb. All right. Well, I'm sure it'll focus eventually.
Oh, Caleb, I'm sorry. That was a rough one.
Unfortunately, I like betting long shots, but I would never bet Caleb to be the first one to break his camera. Because I think one of the three of us would probably break our cameras before Caleb there.
Yeah.
But
well, in all fairness, he's been working from home on his OnlyFans at Big Shoe.
John Massey saying Caleb's got the worst hidden identity shading ever.
Oh, you're right. He's like, what show is that? Like 48 Hours? Yeah, I didn't want to tell anybody what I saw, but here's what I saw.
Yeah, deep throat over there.
Caleb's sort of like a reverse zoom background where the background is in focus, but Caleb is out of focus.
Goodness.
Are you in a safe house? Hey, tap the screen 3 times if you're in trouble, Caleb.
I'm in trouble. There's no background at all.
Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in?
Oh, there you go. IT's here.
The IT Josh recommendation.
Yeah, hey, it might work.
You're all silhouetted.
Yeah.
Silhouette. Baby moosh.
We'll let Caleb get on here. But we got John Massey saying Aqueduct should be in focus.
He's not wrong. Aqueduct should always be in focus.
Dude, Aqueduct has been rough to watch.
Just today. Today's the only day I've been like out to lunch. The rest of the Aqueduct meets I've done very well. I've had an extremely good meet, but today, man, that was tough. That bias you were chasing bias all day. It was changing all day. I mean, the rail was just freakishly good early and then got not as good later on. And then all of a sudden you could close randomly the last 3 races. It just changed on a dime. It was rough. It was real rough.
Yeah, I saw David Aragona was talking and he thought that the inside was pretty good, and that the
Early,
rail
it
was
definitely
good.
was.
And then he thought that possibly the track maintenance like kind of caught wind of it and wanted to kind of alleviate it, and that it seemed to kind of fall off a little bit later, but yeah, I don't know. It's I have not had good success betting Aqueduct, and I basically been playing mostly Naira only through the summer and through the fall, but here at Aqueduct I had to slow down a little bit, so as Caleb gets his stuff set up. There he is.
There he is.
Did unplugging it fix it?
I didn't unplug it. I just kind of like hit it harder when I was off camera.
Okay.
Why'd you with the Bear Grylls background though?
I don't know. I just put the first one I could find.
So funny enough, that's the other suggestion, right? When unplugging it and plugging it back in, and if that doesn't work, kick it. That's usually the IT suggestion.
Now my audio is
Mark.
a little bit like grainy. I think it's on my end, but Josh sounds kind of crackly. Like
No, Josh does sound crappy. It's for all of us. We
okay.
Yeah.
There's something going on, man.
There's something with restream.
I sound crackly?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
you're
much.
crackly.
We'll fix that. But
in Road Warrior, which 33-1 are we talking about? Because I think there was 2 just in the late pick 5. I would assume you mean the get out of jail race in the 9th there, where that horse was pretty tough to have. But there was another one, I think, in the second leg or something. That was also a capper.
oh yeah, John Massey, pull out the cartridge and blow on it. Yeah, this is
Papa Knight needed the 4-horse in the last race at the Duct for the pick 5. I didn't watch the last race, but he wasn't happy about it, and he called me and let me know. So I'm assuming that was a rough beat for.
That was a rough beat. Yeah, the 9 came from absolutely out of the clouds, and it was the first horse to really close all day. I feel for poor Papa Knight. That's a rough beat.
Yeah, he's been on the schneid too. 2022 has not been kind to the Knight family so far.
And from the dungeon, BD horse player coming back in.
I'm having camera issues, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like Freaky Friday today. I don't know what's going on, and like you guys say, I sound crackly now, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you do. Still do.
Well, just drink until everyone's blurry anyway.
Yeah, there we go.
Is it
all right?
Not as grainy anymore, or is it still jacked up?
You look good to me.
You look good now.
Kind of like weird.
Some weird shit going on.
Let's see. Did that fix anything?
No.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I'll mess around with it right now, but let's get introduced here. We're gonna go ahead talk through this pick 6 here at Santa Anita. We're gonna start with race 5. It's a force out. We did this last week for Gulfstream Park, which means it's gonna get hit tomorrow. So
I'm so happy that Gulfstream pick 6 got hit. I mean, I was smiling like that made my whole day.
That's just like I couldn't believe it. That was just like I don't know that was just poetic justice, I guess. But here we are again talking about another force out. So, but there's a little catch to this one. This is all California breds. Now, Mark and I were talking a little bit before stream, and we're like, well, I guess at least it's not Florida breds or Indiana breds or Archie breds, but California breds aren't exactly California breds, New York breds, and that not exactly. We're not exactly rushing home to bet those normally, but anyways, we're going to start here with a maiden claim in 50, 6 furlongs on the dirt. And this is a tough one to start it. There's not a lot going on here. Mark, I'm really curious where you kind of ended up here.
Yeah, I had a real hard time. The first leg and the last leg I thought were the 2 toughest legs of the sequence, just because they're kind of races that without a workout report, you're just kind of stabbing in the dark, right? I think the top 2 for me would be the 3, Make Mine Wine. And I guess my approach to these types of races where you have a few of them that have started and a few who haven't, I always like to pick the best of those who have at least a start and then find the best of the first-time starters. I thought the Jonathan Wong starter, he's 21% with firsters. He's like 13% debut maiden claim. So, I mean, I think of the horses that don't have a start, this is probably your best horse. Some okay works in there. And then I thought the other horse that did make some sense in here was the 8.
Man.
Arthur Spooner, finally getting some class. Well, I shouldn't say finally. They did get this horse some class relief, then tried turf, and now they're back down in class, back on dirt. That Santa Anita race 3 back wasn't terrible. This horse may have just finally found a soft enough field that that he can beat up on him. But again, this isn't a race that gives me really high confidence. And, one thing that overlies in here, I'm playing FloCal and I'm trying to find, races where you have high variance. And this is probably one of the higher variance races on the sequence. And, you really are worried that somebody's going to find that, 30 or, whatever that price in here. I guess it's only 8 horse field. You're probably not going to get a 30 to 1, but that 12 or 15 to 1 that really becomes a separator in here. So I need to really see some work reports to kind of get a better handle on this race. But I thought the 3 and the 8 were your 2 most likely, but I could literally make a case for anyone in this race. Hopefully I talked long enough that Josh got his mic fixed. Nope.
Can you guys still not hear me?
I mean,
Yeah, you're
crackly.
crackly.
Yeah. So I'll take this moment to agree, but also disagree with Mark. I do agree with his philosophy of taking the best firster in a race like this. I just think he picked the wrong firster. I actually landed on the 2. And if the work reports come back halfway decent, there's a decent chance I'm going to single out this horse on my ticket. Just because I hate everybody else. Like, I hate a lot of these horses. This 2 horse, Big Gun, I mean, he's out of Mr. Big, who is a very good, I think he's still a freshman. Well, I guess he might be technically a sophomore sire now in 2022, but his first crop were excellent. He gets about 15% debut winners. This is a damn quick chick who's kicked out 3 full siblings, 2 Big Gun, one of which won on debut and actually went on to win a Calbred Stakes for Doug O'Neill. So there's some win early pedigree here. The works look pretty promising. I like the minute and 4 work last out. And there's a couple of works on here that are pretty quick. If you look back at the work tab, this horse has been working pretty steady ever since October pretty much. So you get Juan Hernandez up, which means the horse probably won't win because I'm picking him and it's Juan Hernandez. But I just like the pedigree here. I think the connections are fairly strong. I like the work pattern. And I had a hard time really latching on to anybody else. I tend to think Jonathan Wong, his numbers are always kind of inflated because he's like a Safi of the West Coast that crushes Golden Gate but struggles to ship anywhere else. The 8 horse, I feel like I kind of know who that horse is. He had 2 cracks at maiden claiming and didn't really run at all. Like, I'd much prefer a new face here. There's a lot of ways you could go, but the only one I feel good about is really the 2 horse.
Brian, what you got?
They talked about the 3 horses I liked. I'm literally looking at my sheet. I had the 2 and the 3 as A's with the 8 as a B. And the only thing I haven't heard yet is so far this meet at Santa Anita in 12 races at 6 furlongs, 100% of the winners have been within 1 call or 1 length at the second call, first call, whatever the hell it was. But the thing that I thought was interesting was 66% wire to wire. That's a huge number in 12 races, and no surprise at 6 furlongs at Santa Anita. The thing I think is interesting is with the first timers, the workouts are going to be huge. So, today's Thursday. Workout reports should be out tonight, right? Yeah, it should be tonight. See what's there. I tried to make an argument for a bomb here, but if I was going to go anywhere, maybe the 4, just because the 4's shown some ability, but Mark and Caleb covered everything I liked, so I think we're okay there. If the 4 improves, then maybe something could happen at a nice price.
Yeah, I was basically the 2, the 3, and the 8 in this spot, which kind of seemed to be the chalky picks. I know there's a 5 in here that's, I think, the morning line favorite at 5-2, Smiling Goodbye. But I thought the 2, the 3, the 2, the 3, and the 8 were kind of the ones to key in. I kind of agree with, and I want to think one of you guys had mentioning workout reports, but also taking a look at the tote board, seeing how the tote looks, seeing what doubles out of this race, or kind of looking at doubles into the race, and seeing if there's something that can tip your hand to one of these, but I couldn't really separate those three. And I mean, I kind of don't know if anybody would really surprise me that won here. Maybe the 6 would be a surprise, but if any of these firsters won, I mean, a firster winning a state bred race isn't exactly, breaking news or anything like that. So,
I I don't understand how the 5 is the morning line favorite. Does anybody see anything there? I mean,
No,
the
there's
the
nothing there. I think it's a
the,
terrible line.
the breeding's not well. The workouts times alone aren't 5-2 type line. So something weird's happening there, and I don't understand it.
Yeah,
don't
I
understand
could.
it either. I'm with you.
Yeah, and I mean, I just head scratched at that one as well. I thought the line was probably just bad. And Caleb, you're 2 horse big gun. Do you make anything of the team being over 15 with maiden firsters? I mean, it seems like his horses always sort of need a start. A horse you're probably not. It's not like you're getting 8 or 9 to 1 on this horse. You're probably going to get this horse is probably going to be second or third choice. It feels like he's going to be shorter than what he really probably deserves to be, given that one stat alone. Is that scary at all here?
Not really. And would you say 0 for 14 or 15?
Oh, for 15, yeah.
So like I'm looking at Briz, and it's he's 9% first time starter last 3 years. That number actually jumps up to 14% debut maiden claiming, and that's a positive ROI. So I feel like over 15 could just be a sample size thing. And even if it's not, I'm just not particularly worried because there really are no monsters in here that I can see.
Yeah, I get that there are no monsters, so this is the kind of one where you sort of ignore a statistic like that to some degree. And I do realize that it probably has the best works on pure speed alone. So I thought that horse made some sense. I just didn't quite know what to do with that one.
Right, I understand.
Well, for what you're saying about Tim, and he's 32% in the money when he's debuting in maiden claimers. So I mean, it's an interesting spot, right? It's not like he's trying to go top of the line here. I think that's why his numbers are what they are. Is there's a lot of aggressive first time starts for him out there, I think.
Yeah, that could be. That very well could be. Yeah. And I would say Dennis actually put up a good comment in chat, Josh, if you want to highlight his. I realize it's a little bit long-winded, but I think it's one of those good sort of like handicapping philosophy approach sort of a things. But yeah, I would say right now, Dennis, a 3-year-old facing older, I would be a little hesitant this early in the year. Those new 3-year-olds are only new by 13 days. So I think there's a massive gap right now, probably between 3 and 4-year-olds. If you're seeing races that are carded that way.
Yeah, I agree. I would almost never touch a 3-year-old facing older at this point, unless it's a bad field of older horses.
So do you think there's more of a gap? Do you think it's more of a diff, or you think it's more of a canyon?
I mean, I would say it's probably a canyon between 3 and 4 at this point.
Okay. I've tried different cables and I'm getting the same result. So I think I just need to restart my computer, which fortunately, as the host of the stream, I don't think I can do right now. So unfortunately, you guys will have to put up with this crackling for a bit. And also, I think I just got nosed out of a humongous double at Sam Houston. No, I had the 6.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
I bet the 9 only because the horse's name was Durango Jess.
Yeah, I had the 6 for $8 double.
Is that humongous? That 6 was like 4 to 5. What was your last winner?
It was paying like $60 for 2.
Wow, was it really?
It was 5 to 1.
Yeah,
that's tough, man. Sorry.
So, and I had the 2. I had the 2 as well for $2, but did not have the 9 anywhere. So as usual,
and I had it on my sheet if it makes you feel better.
Oh, nice. There you go. Thank you on the Caleb sheet there. All right, let's keep going. Let's get to the real races where we actually have some form here. Mile and the 8th, the Unusual Heat Turf Classic, presented by City National Bank. I don't know why I read the sponsor, but hey, thank you, City National Bank, for sponsoring horse racing. We got a nice full field here once again, at least full field for California Standards. We got 8 horses. Your morning line favorite here is going to be the 8 Indian Peak. I am a fan of this 8. I think the 8 is 8's in a good spot here. Caleb probably hates the 8. Yeah, Caleb, of course, hates the 8. But yeah, I like the 8 in this spot. Who else? I thought I had another horse in here. I also like the 2 horse, the Juan Hernandez horse, Margo's Boy. I think that this is going to be the pace in this race. This race is pretty devoid of like a true, need the lead type or leader. So I think Margo's Boy probably going to be sitting that that pocket trip in second there up. I think maybe the 7 might be a little faster earlier, but I kind of couldn't see really past the 2 and the 8. The 8 had some really nice turf races. Had an off the turf race in the San Gabriel and regressed. But I mean, this is a turf horse, so I think getting back onto his preferred surface has won against Calbreds numerous times. You get John Velasquez aboard, who's winning like 38%. So I like the 8 here, and then I also like the Juan horse, the 2. Caleb, tell me you hate the Juan horse as well.
I like the Juan horse here.
Okay.
Margo's Boy, I do like. That's
I
the
no
one.
longer like the Juan horse.
Yeah, I like 2 Juan horses in a row, so just keep that in mind when you guys are putting your tickets together this Saturday. That being said, that is the one of your 2 picks that I like. I hate Indian Peak, and I love Indian Peak. Like, this is a horse that I singled in a slammed pick 3 a couple races back when he was going down the hill in a pick 3, and I had a huge hit off of that. So this horse will always have a soft spot in my heart. But the thing is, he doesn't want to go this far, and I know he has a win at this distance like a billion years ago. But this horse wants to go maybe a mile. But you kind of look at what he does, and he always kind of flattens out or loses positioning or backs up in the final furlong or final 16th whenever they try to push him any farther than that. I know the figures look strong, but I really don't think this is a horse that wants to get this distance. So I won't use Indian Peak here. I do like Margo's Boy that Josh talked about. I think he's likely to be the controlling speed or maybe just sitting second in a race that doesn't have a ton of speed. And the other horse I liked here was the 3. It feels kind of dirty to take 7-2 on this horse, but if you've been watching any California racing, you almost have to use Pratt just on anything he's on almost. And I'm not really throwing him in just because of Pratt. The real reason I kind of like this horse is because I think he's finally getting to do what he really is supposed to be doing, which is going 2 turns. They've kept this horse sprinting for his entire career, which is a little bit curious given the pedigree. Kitten's Joy out of a rock hard 10 mare. You would think this horse is going to want longer than 5 and 6 furlongs. If you look at the way he's finishing off races, he always seems to be really screaming for more ground. I think this horse makes a lot of sense here on the stretch out. On the stretch out from the sprints, he should be more forwardly placed than some of those last races would suggest. And with the way Pratt's riding, it's tough to leave him off your tickets right now. So I like the 3 and the 2 here as my picks.
Brian, what you got?
I agree with everything you both said. We can move on. No, I say that tongue in cheek. The only notes I had for here was the 3. It says not at this price, way too short. The 8, the only thing I'm scared about is if the pace is there. I had a hard time trying to figure out who's going to lead, but the 8 with a smart ride from Velasquez could possibly be sitting in a good spot. I'm afraid looking at the running line that the 8's can get shuffled back in the middle and then have to overcome traffic late. But it's one of those things. The only horse you guys didn't mention was the 1 Whooping J. I think Whooping J's kind of interesting. I don't think the price is going. I had 6-1 in the morning line. That's probably a fair price. The horse is probably worth 5-7-1, something like that. But in this race, the 8's going to take a lot of money. The 2's going to take a lot of money, and I can't really make a strong argument against either one of those. So, my sheet, I was 8-2 and 1-3 as A's and B's, and that's where I was.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about horses that everybody else has already talked about. I think the 8 makes a ton of sense in here, and it's probably ends up being my top choice. I think the other 2 horses that I thought were a little bit interesting were both the 5 and the 6. the 5 Camino del Percio, Josh. You can correct me on my
Camino del
horrible
Percio,
pronunciation.
Yep.
Horse is 4 for 27 on turf, 9 of 45 lifetime. It's a 9-year-old. I realize Caleb doesn't like older horses, so it's not a horse he would ever pick. But the horse has got, if you toss the last 2, which were not on the right surface, horse is competitive on speed figures and has actually won a fair bit, recently as an older horse. You don't see a lot of horses that are, winning kind of every other start as a, 8 and into 9-year-old horse. I think they were taking a shot in that last out. There's a lot of these races where if you toss some of the graded stakes races, form improves a fair bit. And I think the horse kind of fits on speed figures, isn't a ton too slow in here. And is a horse that I think you get every bit of 7-2. You probably get more like 5-1 on this horse just because there's no connections there to draw money. And I think the other horse that I liked a little bit was Big Fish, the 6. This is a horse that I think the stretch out really kind of, falls into his lap. You're getting Rispoli, who, is, obviously very good as a turf jock, and a horse that, if you look at all of his running lines on turf, seems to kind of be closing late when they're running in a mile. So I think the extra 8th probably helps him, gives him a little, bit of extra time. Doesn't seem like he has a crazy turn of foot. So does it give him a little bit of extra time to chase down some of the front runners? I thought an interesting horse that you're getting something new here, and one that makes a little sense. And, if you're getting Rispoli at anywhere near 6-1, 8-1 on a horse that makes some sense, I think it's an interesting sort of horse that I wouldn't want to let beat me.
Let's take a look at the chat. Do I still sound a little crackly?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
God bless it. I tried something else here. That's not fun. All my chat disappeared. You got anything in there to highlight, Mark?
I already talked.
Okay.
Oh,
no,
no,
I'm talking about
highlight
in the
in
chat.
chat.
You see anything in chat?
No.
Okay.
I guess the only thing would be Dennis's line that if Pratt wasn't riding the 3, would you consider the horse? I had a really hard time getting to the 3. The 3 just isn't fast enough. Yeah, I understand Caleb's logic that maybe this horse is, lightly raced, could be rounding into form, and maybe the stretch out helps. But you're talking about a horse that's only gone, 5.5 or 5 up to 6.5 furlongs. Optional 20s, and is stepping up to a state bred stakes. I realize it's a Cal state bred stakes, so maybe not the toughest stakes, but I think that the 72 morning line is 100% Pratt getting up on this horse. It's a horse that I'd be interested in at 10-1, but not at 7-2. And I realize I probably just put the horse in the winner's circle.
You saw his daddy, right?
Yeah, I saw his daddy, but why on earth have they not run him longer? I mean, like, what has taken them 5 starts to try to get this horse at a distance that makes sense?
Yeah, and I mean, as the one person who kind of likes the 3 here, Pratt being on is obviously a huge factor. But would I still like the horse if Pratt wasn't on? I would still say yes, because the horse wouldn't be 7-2; he'd probably be 8-1 if you had Abel Cedillo up instead. At which point, I still think the stretch out and other angles apply. I mean, clearly something was wrong with this horse because he didn't debut until August of his 4-year-old season. He only has 4 starts now as a 5-year-old. So clearly, I mean, he took a while to get to the track, but there's certainly ability here. You look at the running lines, and he's had some trouble in most of those starts. So I would still like the horse, and I think Pratt getting on a horse that looks too slow at 7-2 is kind of okay. I think a different jockey, the horse would be 6 or 8-1, and I'd still use him.
And Ryan, everyone loves Tampa. It's like the best track in Florida. So
Tampa's awful. It's only, I don't even know if it's better than Gulfstream. They're both awful.
Oh, that's no good.
Was there a carryover or something today? Is that why we're saying Tampa camping?
No, PDT was said this should be a Tampa capping show. And then,
well, I mean, why?
Was
there did someone not care, or is he just a sadist?
He loves Tampa. He does really well there. I also do very well there. So
So he's a sadist.
He's a sadist. Yeah. All you need is optics to cap Tampa. You need nothing else.
Ryan asked me, why do you hate Florida?
Josh, I think it's video time.
That's a fair question, actually. I don't know. I mean,
Caleb's got a
anytime
lot
you hear
of-
some like bullshit, awful thing that happens, like there's a pretty good chance it was in Florida. But as far as the racing goes, it's just, I don't know. Like Gulfstream has like the bane of everything that's wrong with racing. I feel like started at Gulfstream. And then Tampa, I think it was just a very illogical track to me anyway. But I have nothing against them beyond that.
All right. Why don't you guys get started with race 7 here? I'm gonna have to restart because now my sound is crackling and I like can't hear anything. So obviously something's going on over here. So Mark, take it away.
I was gonna say Brian should start considering you're restarting. Therefore, let's change it up for a bit.
All right, Brian, go.
Okay, well, hi everybody. My name's Brian. The guy right here, that's Caleb. He's good looking. This guy right here, he's not. All right, so we're at race 7. Where did I land at race 7? I actually got some notes here. For my A's, I got the 4 and the 1. I thought the 4 and the 1 made the most sense. Obviously, I better pull
Race
up my
7.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
got both of them down, so good be.
Yeah.
I have neither of them. So okay.
I got the 4 and the 1 as A's there. I think the 4 and the 1 are coming in on probably what could be considered the best form, if you will. The 8, I can kind of excuse last out. The 8 had a weird little squeeze happening, but it's Los Al, so anything happens at Los Al. Juan's aboard. It's going to be decently spotted. The question or the hard part I had here is this race to me was the toughest of the sequence. The only horse I tossed out was the 7. Other than that, I am 3 B's deep here. To quote Mark, I'm having a hard time trying to figure out who's going to be on the lead. I was going back and forth between the 2 and the 6, trying to figure out, okay, which one of them is going to go. And then I start looking at Joe Bravo versus Tyler Bays, and I think the 2 will be on the lead. That's probably my best guess. And then, from there, it's one of those races where I think workouts would help, and I think, if there's a scratch or two, it'd probably give me all kinds of help because I just had such a hard time. I can't lie. That's kind of where I'm at. Wait a minute. I'm on the wrong damn race. No, I'm right. Sorry. Took me a minute, man. But yeah, that was race 7. That's where I ended up. I got nothing smart, nothing there to say, hey, this is who I like and why. It's a tough one. Again, it's a 6 furlong meet. You want to be up front. Can the 2 wire this field? Sure. And that's my line, and that's why I had such a hard time with it. Is I can't get a pace picture good enough right now.
No, Steven, this is the League of Midline Handicap or something. League of Legends Midline Mid-Row capping things. I don't know. Mid-row. Yeah. Okay. Mid-row. Brian, I thought your 2 there makes a fair bit of sense here. I think there's a chance that Bays can sort of be very forwardly placed, get the rail, and sort of wire this. When I looked at this race, I really turned this into a bit of a class play. There's a lot of horses that have sort of been beaten around at this class level for a few starts, and there's a bunch of class strappers in here. I want the class strappers. So the horses I landed on were the 2, the 3, and the 8, who are all coming out of tougher. I realize the 8 is kind of not taking as much of a class drop, but that 2-back race at Los Al was actually a touch tougher than this on paper, at least. I thought there's a good chance the 2 could wire, and I actually thought this 3 was a really interesting horse. If you look at the company this horse has been keeping, Brickyard Ride in there a bunch, those types of horses who are just amazingly better than this field. And it's a horse that has, if you go back to the last time the 3, Ricky Mistake, ran at this level, was in September of 2020, where he won at Del Margo in 6.5, fairly convincingly. And I thought this was just a case of, I don't know why Doug O'Neill was running this horse for so long versus a lot better, but he's finally getting this horse down to an appropriate spot. And this is probably where he belongs. And I thought the 3 at a pretty massive price in here made a lot of sense.
So Mark using the class angle, which I didn't think mattered, but I guess here we are.
It doesn't matter until it does.
But if you use the class angle, how'd you not end up on the one there?
I just really can't.
That's my question. I thought the one had all kinds of class there.
I do. My real concern is run style. At 6 furlongs, I don't want a horse that's going to be that far back.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I'm not going to add anything to the horses you guys do like because I landed on pretty much the same ones. I had the 2, 3, 4, and 1 in that order. So I think those are all horses we've already talked about. The one thing I will say about this race in general is I think you have to be careful because a lot of horses in here are kind of what I would call like Los Al specialists. And a lot of horses in California only win at Los Al, or they run significantly better races at Los Al compared to what they're going to run at Santa Anita or Del Mar. Los Al is also a track that on pretty much any set of figures I've ever looked at, they always come back too fast. Maybe the figures are fine, but the horses just don't replicate the form when they go to Santa Anita or Del Mar. There's a lot of horses here. I mean, the 8 probably being the chief example, who has 2 wins in his career, both at Los Al and both with speed figures that are quite a bit higher than what he's normally running. So that's a horse I'm not going to use anywhere, and I hope he takes money. But all the inside 4, I think, makes sense here. I'm looking for horses that could be forwardly placed, maybe get some class relief, and that have proven to have at least some success over the local surface here. So I like the 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Is Josh still not here? Oh, he can't.
I see him. Can he talk?
He can't talk. Oh, allow me to talk for Josh. There's 2 E8s here. We like them both. We're not sure which one's going to win, but we like them.
We like them. So let me guess, the 2 Josh horses are the 2 and the 6 then.
Is pay the rent in this race? Josh, scroll the horses you like. Let's see if we can figure out.
No, it's on dirt.
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh,
this is just a mess, and I'm
You
still
sound good
crackling.
now.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sound good now. Yeah.
yeah.
I have no idea what's going on. Because you guys have been like crackling and popping this entire time, and it's been driving me nuts. I had the 2 Scary Fast Smile here. And that was kind of, I kind of think that this is going to be the speed in this race. Has flashed 6 furlong speed, has not flashed it, when moving to JJ Hernandez at 6 furlongs. And, going a mile and 7 furlongs was not in the plan. And also, if you kind of go back, this horse has just run better in these state bred races. So I think, Mark's class angle might make a little bit of sense here, but I think that this horse will probably get out on the lead. I think it's his best chance to win, and inside speed at Santa Anita, I will bet. The other horse I had was I was kind of interested in this one horse. I kind of had a question mark next to it. Leaving Mark Glatzbarn and going to George Papadromo. I don't know. Was that last race? Was that just Pratt just like willing this horse and carrying this horse across the line? Or, is this horse, this is a legit, state bred 6 furlong horse. The figures fit in well with the rest of this field. And this horse is going to, sit inside and get first run on these other runners. So, I was kind of on the 2 inside horses. I much preferred the 2, and I dare I say I might even just single the 2 in here if I start getting really spread other places. But at least that's kind of where I saw this one, and I wish I could have heard what you guys said, but my mic was just driving me nuts there. So
You don't
Josh,
really
No, you didn't. Josh, are you feeling okay? Because, or I don't know if I'm feeling okay as like Groundhog Day or something. Both of us were talking about class droppers. I'm a little concerned.
yeah, hey, I used that class dropper in the last at the second to last race at Sam Houston. So I don't know.
No,
Hey.
I think when you get into certain ranks, like if you're playing with state breds and you're seeing coming out of a state bred allowance 50 to an optional 20, all of a sudden that's going to be an easier field. And I think that, in those situations, it does matter. I think we tend to poke at class mattering when people are saying, oh, well, geez, this horse just won an allowance and this other one is going from a maiden to a G3 and they're both 2-year-olds. Well, okay. There's certain times where class is a little overstated.
All right, cool. Let's keep rolling along because we got a couple more races to go here. Race 8, Hillside Turf Race, the Sunshine Millions Filly and Mare Turf Sprints, 6.5 furlongs down the hill. Your morning line favorite is one of my favorite horses in training, the 9 Warren Showtime at 5-2, and I am going to be against this horse in this spot. Going a mile. Going a mile, state bred. I don't know in California if it gets any better than Warren Showtime right now, Filly and Mare. But 5-2 is a tough pill to swallow here. And I think there's a couple other horses that are a little interesting. I got a couple of prices here that I'm interested in. The 2 California Kook. Won a 6.5 furlong race that got washed off. But if you look back to their turf races and also their mile dirt races, that seems to be what this horse wants to do. And I think, doing the 6 furlongs down the hill, I think is going to fit this horse really well. Is not on the rail, so it's in the 2-post. So you don't have to worry about the old rail curse here. And you get John Velasquez aboard, who say what you will about his riding, but he's been on fire here to start, and it might just be the quality mounts he's getting. But him and Ruben Alvarado are 57% to start the meet. So really interested in this California Kook 8-1 in the morning line. I also am a big fan of Nardini, the 4-horse. Pay the Rent with Kent. Once again, best race that this horse has run is 1 mile on the turf, and I like that cutback when it comes to coming down the hill. There's not really much to say. I'm 12-1. Kent is great riding down the hill, and the horse is going to be I think the horse is going to love this. These horses that can get the mile and run down the hill. I just love that angle. So Nardini at 12-1 is definitely a horse I'm gonna take a shot with. And 30-1 for Umberto Rispoli going down the hill when this horse once again seemed to like going a mile on the turf. There's absolutely no way we see more than like 10-1 on this horse, right? Nice Ice.
Well, it's got to be the worst line in the entire sequence, I think. 30-1. That's a terrible line, I thought.
Like, did they add a 0? Was it supposed to be 3-1? Like, I'm not sure. Like,
yeah, that horse might be 8-1, 10-1, but 30-1. I don't know what they were thinking. That makes no sense.
I think the horse is 20-1.
You really think he goes off that long?
Yep. Yeah, I think there's too many options here.
It's a big field. I can see that. And he's not really a big name compared to, Warren Showtime, but still.
I'm not going to start talking if Josh is still going. Sorry, Josh.
No, it's fine. There are very few things that you need a horse to like if the horse has got 4 legs and has got a competent jockey aboard, 30-1, like, oh, hey, let's go. But we're not going to get that price. If you're playing in stable duel, obviously this is probably must play. 30-1 on Nice Ice. I don't know. I would take half that. I would probably take 10-1 on Nice Ice to be a win bet. I'd probably take 8-1, which is what you kind of thought, Caleb, the line would be. I think that this horse fits. So this line has got to be completely wrong, or I'm just seeing it. I'm just insane. Mark, give me a Rispoli check here on the 7.
I don't hate the 7. My concern, I don't know if the 7 is quite fast enough, and I don't think I've ever seen Pasta win a race down the hill. Obviously, it's a new thing starting this meet, and Josh, your mic's good. I have some questions here on Spice is Nice, but I don't hate Spice is Nice. I don't dislike the horse. It's a horse that I wouldn't want to have beat me. Rispoli with tactical speed down the hill. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if the horse can get it done. But the horse that I'm most interested in, nobody's talked about, which makes me think that maybe I get better than Morning Line, which would be amazing. And that's the 12 Legs Galore. I know a very wise man named Greg Callywag, and he always said, if you're betting the downhill turf, you want outside drawn speed. And Legs Galore happens to be the outside drawn speed here. Horse is 6 of 11 lifetime, 6 of 9 on the turf. This horse just loves to get its photo taken. And if you get rid of all the graded stakes tries and where they put this horse in over its head, this horse makes just a ton of sense. So I thought Legs Galore here was, in the pick six sequence, a horse that I might potentially single. Nothing against Warren Showtime. And I realize Warren Showtime is getting a ton of class relief here, and she, tends to do real well when she gets in these state bred ranks. But, I thought Legs Galore just made a ton of sense and might get a little lost on the board.
Caleb.
Yeah, I struggled with this race because I do think Warren Showtime is a very, very likely winner. And I think she's, a very nice horse. She likes to win. When you go down the hill at Santa Anita, I always like horses who have wins going down the hill, just because that is a pretty unique configuration and some horses don't like it. Warren Showtime has a win down the hill, 3 races back. And that race is probably even better than it looks when you consider she closed into a pretty slow pace that day. Came from pretty much last to get up and win that race. She's been against the flow of the race in each of her last 3 starts. I mean, kind of a little too close to a fast pace last out, and then trying to rally into a slow pace 2 and 3 back. So I think that she always shows up, and she's a very, very likely winner here. The problem I have is that there's a lot of horses at really nice prices that I also like. So from a structure perspective, this is a tough race for me to figure out what to do with. I did like Mark's 12, Legs Galore. I think I probably prefer Warren Showtime, but I certainly like Mark's 12 nonetheless. Josh brought up a couple of horses I liked. California Kook, I'm not crazy about, but at 8-1, I think that makes sense if you get that. I like Nardini. I like the 7 horse with Rispoli. Probably the one we didn't really talk about much that I have as an A right now is the 11, Eddie's New Dream. This horse only has 3 starts on the turf, but all 3 are pretty good. Got a win against Cowbreds first time that she tried the turf, and that was coming off a bit of a layoff there. She has tactical speed. She can be forwardly placed. They actually threw her in her grade 3 company against Burgo Alley and Spanish Love Affair. And she didn't have the best trip that day, where she kind of blew the brake a little bit and then hit a little bit of traffic late in the stretch. But she still ran a nice race and got 5th, only beating 2 lengths to some really nice horses. Came back and got a win on the turf again in open company. And if you look at the pedigree and with a Square Ready on top and looking at some of the success that she's had on dirt sprinting, there's no reason to think 6.5 is going to be too sharp for her. At least I don't think so. So, obviously dropping out of a grade 1, she gets a ton of class relief here. She's been facing some much, much better horses. She's only a newly turned 4-year-old, so has a lot of room to improve here. So I thought 15-1 was kind of a silly price. You might get half of that, I think, but that's still a horse that I really like.
Yeah, I was waiting for us to kind of get done going through the sequence so I could loop back to Eddie's New Dream, because I also really like that horse. It's one of those horses I just wouldn't want to let beat me, because horse is 2 for 3 on the turf. And if you look at the figures that came back, those races on the turf came back very strong, and they're competitive versus this field. You probably need a little help to put the horse in the winner's circle, but this is a really big field on the downhill turf. Calamity tends to happen, and you might get that help.
Brian, what you got?
I was waiting for Mark to circle back a 3rd time before I started to go, but I like everybody you said, which is crap. I like Mark's 12. I had the 12 as an A. I had the 4 as an A. But I'm going to draw a picture for a jockey who's having a rough go of it. 0 for 22 this year, 8% of the year total overall. Went to Kentucky last year and flopped. He's back out west now and is flopping. However, I like the 3 here. And I've got a couple of reasons why. As soon as I get to them. Hold on. So for the 3, to me, looking at the past performances, the 3's got quiet, good form. Like his really coming around. Looked to improve last out. Was still pressing late. Was still engaged, and it was a very nice out for a horse that looked like crap often. I don't know if they figured it out or not, but I do like Corinner or however you say the trainer's name. He always seems to show up in a spot that doesn't make sense, that might be too tall for a horse on paper. And so I was drawn immediately to this 3 super game. That being said, I think the 4, the 12 are the most likely winners and will have most of my money or selections. But for tournament play, for something like a mythical, I'd be all over this 3. I think the 3, the morning line is 10 to 1. I think it's a fair price, and I think we might see 14 to 1 there just because of the way Van Dyke's been racing.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, Brian Courtney does spot his horses really well because he, every year, like you look and he's like winning at like 15%, and you're like, you can't even like name one of his like big horses, right?
Right.
But he tends to spot his horses well. Brisnet is saying, hey, non-graded stakes races, he's hitting at 14%. Dirt to turf, he's at 16%, and he doesn't enter a ton of horses, but he seems to spot them well. So, if he's putting his horse in the spot, it tends to be live. So I don't hate it. Mark, you got those judgy looks, that judgy look on your eyes.
No. I mean, honestly, I'm beating up DVD because he just hasn't been riding well, but sure. No, I mean, I wouldn't fault anybody for going somewhere here and try to, as long as you're gonna get the right price, just make sure that if you're going to a horse like that, like Brian's horse there, that you're getting an appropriate price. Don't take it too short price.
All right, race 9, 6 furlongs, the Cal Cup Sprint, $150,000, and we got the return of Brickyard Ride here, 9 to 5, last seen at Del Mar, and was not exactly a great effort. So we're coming off that effort here, and is going to be a very, very short price favorite here in this spot. Mark, you and I were talking a little bit about this before the stream, because I thought the sequence was interesting depending on what you did in this race. This is the Brickyard Ride is going to be shortened up so short that this is kind of like you either use or you toss, especially if you're going to like lean heavily on some chalk other places like Warren Showtime in the race before. Mark, you were a believer. You thought Brickyard Ride was worthy of the short price.
I think he's probably worthy of the short price. If you look at his race career, when he's dropped into these spots where he's versus state-bred company, he kind of just destroys these fields. He just gets exposed when he's versus open company and in G1s and G2s. He's just I can't remember the horse's name right now. But there was a New York bred that was the same way, who, whenever he ran versus New York bred stakes or New York bred horses, he
Mr. Buff.
There you go, Mr. Buff. I just blanked. Mr. Buff, same exact situation with Brickyard Ride. With Mr. Buff, when he dropped versus New York breds, he just destroyed everybody, won by 10, 12 lengths. It was just a joke. And then he'd get into a G1 or a G2, and he'd get beaten up on by better horses. So I think Brickyard Ride is much the same, and I think he's definitely the best horse in here. I don't know. He's a horse, though, that I'm a little conflicted because I like a couple of other horses in here. And I'll let you guys talk through the field. But I think Brickyard Ride probably wins this 60 or 70% of the time, right? Like, he's the best horse in the field. I think it's hard to get beyond that.
No. Toss Brickyard Ride. I'm going to go. Nobody else wants to talk. I've got two horses I like at prices.
Let's hear it, Bri.
And I've got some reasons to why. So, in my opinion, I think both the 2 and the 6 are going to come in this race as live prices.
There's no way you get that price in the 6. No way.
It's my turn. I let you talk.
I just talked over you though, so now you can talk again.
What'd you do? Use a ladder? So the 2 and the 6, you may not get the prices you see there in the morning line, right? The 6 is 12-1, the 2 is 12-1. Both of them, I mean, the 2 is going to be well into double digits, 15-1 maybe, but the 6, Mark thinks it's going to be short, so it'll probably be 12-1. The reason I like the 6 is the 6 on. Oh crap! You ever have something close on you? Okay, on the dirt, the 6 is in the money 100% of the time. Doesn't really matter. Going to get in the cash. 7 starts. Was it 2 wins, 1 place, 4 shows? Even Drayden can't fuck this horse up. I'm sorry, I said it. 18 over crowd. I wish it was a different jockey. I think a different jockey, Mark, you'd see a shorter price. But with Drayden, I think you're going to see every bit of 8, 9, 10-1. I think people are going to go against the 6 because of that. The 2 I'm not as high about. Obviously, the 2's got some issues, but the 6 is, I've got it highlighted. 4 back. You look what the 6 did. Ran against higher levels. I think it was $100,000 race or something, and looked to be a game effort there, and I don't know. This race feels like one of those things where I see enough flaws in Brickyard that I say, okay, I don't want Brickyard. I'm going to toss the 3. In my opinion, I think the 8 is coming in a more recent class than the 3 is. So that's my reason to toss the 3. I say, you know what, let's go with it and see what happens. And I've got several horses here. The 2, the 6, the 1, and the 4 will all be on my ticket somewhere trying to beat Brickyard.
Ooh, this is a hard race. And I kind of circling back to Josh's point is it's hard because what do you do with Brickyard Ride? That's the $1 million question. Mark says, yeah, this horse is a good single. He just, wins when he gets the right class level. I mean, Brian thinks he's a stinker. And I don't really know what to think, because I don't think it's as simple as saying he only wins against state breds, because he has a grade 2 win in open company. And then he has 2 really bad losses, in allowance races, one of which was the Calbred race where he ran last by 15 lengths on a 4-horse field. This is a horse that sometimes just completely doesn't show up. The other thing is when he does show up, there's nobody in this field that can beat him. And those are horses that are hard for me to really handicap, because if he brings his A game, he wins. But if he doesn't bring his A game, he's bringing like his D- game, and he's probably going to run like 7th. So that's a really hard horse to handicap and decide what to do with, especially at a very short price, and quite possibly is the most singled horse in the entire sequence. From a game theory perspective, I'm probably inclined to kind of go with Brian and play against that horse, just given the fact that I think he's going to be most people single in this sequence.
In your face, Mark.
That being said, I did like a lot of the horses Brian kind of mentioned. The 2 I don't really like, but I did like the 6 that Brian talked about, even with Drayden. That last race came back really fast. If that number is legitimate, then he's a huge contender, but I'm not totally sure that it is. My top pick here, though, would probably be the 7, Principe Carlo. This is a horse that ran like a horse that pretty much needed that start as a 6-year-old coming off a year-long layoff, 2 back. Still ran pretty nice. Actually ran a little bit of a Z pattern there, going from 2nd to 4th and then back up for 2nd. If you were paying attention, you could have got him at 18-1 next out, where he did actually get up for the wins, sitting off of another, moderately slow but nevertheless contested pace, where he kind of ran another like pseudo Z pattern, dropping back a length and a half and then getting up for the win. I think this is a horse where 3rd off the layoff, he might be peaking here, and does make some sense here to get probably 1st or 2nd run on Brickyard Ride if he fails to show up. And I think this horse makes a lot of sense. I think of the the 4 and the 7 and the 8 and the 5. I think the 7 is the one I would want the most out of that common race back at Del Mar. So I like the 7, Principe Carlo. I agree with Brian on the 6. Let's get lucky. And I'm probably leaning towards playing against Brickyard Ride, just given how much I think he'll be singled in the horizontals.
So, Caleb, let me get this straight. You're playing against the horse with Juan up, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just all I need to
Yeah.
know.
Yes, that's all you need to know.
I've changed my mind. I believe I'm singling.
I will be ice cold singled to Brickyard Ride.
You haven't been ice cold single to anything. You have like 9 Bs to finish.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't know where else to go in this spot because I feel like if you don't like Brickyard Ride in the spot, this race really opens up. Caleb, you pretty much named all the other horses that I was interested in. I mean, the 4 obviously is kind of like gonna be the de facto other horse that if you use Brickyard Ride, if you don't use Brickyard Ride, people are gonna lean on Positivity. I mean, you get Doug O'Neill and Flavian Pratt. So everybody and their mother is just going to be like, oh well, I'm going to fade Brickyard Ride and use the 2-to-1 horse Positivity in the spot. And I don't think that there's going to really be value in using the 4 Positivity. I don't think there's anything wrong with the horse, but I think the 4 is also going to be pretty short. It's going to take a lot of money. I do like your 7. Obviously, he's got my boy Kent aboard. And won that in the Cary Grant last out, and is coming back here off a bit of a layoff, but which is a little bit of a concern. But I mean, I don't know. This horse I think is spotted well. Has got back figs that fit very very well with the rest of this field. And I was also a fan of this 8 horse who did get the best of Brickyard Ride 3 back at Del Margo in 6 furlongs. Finished third, obviously, to 2 other horses in this spot, Principe Carlo and Positivity, but ran a decent enough race. So I could see Colt Fiction possibly turning the tables on those 2 here in the spot as well. But I think the 7 and 8 are probably where I'm leaning towards, trying to get around both the 3 and the 4 in this spot. But yeah, this was a tough one. I saw Brickyard Ride in here, and right away I was like, oh, that's a single, like easy. But once you start actually looking at the PPs, looking at the race, and I mean, Caleb, you're totally right. I mean, you look back at the horses. We'll say since that Los Al race in December of 2020. I mean, that horse loses this race. 5 out of 8 times, right? And he's gonna be even money in this spot. Like, it's definitely a play against, I think, just from those odds standpoint. So, but I don't know. Anything else that you guys want to add to this race? All right.
This race? No, I think we've talked it to death, right?
All right. Who the fuck knows what to do in race 10? If you got a strong opinion in race 10, I want you to go first, because I have no fucking clue what to do in this race. Caleb.
Well, I used 3 horses in this race, and 2 of them are huge prices. So I don't know if that means I have a strong opinion or I have no opinion. But
I mean, Mark said all. Now, granted, Mark says all, but he's basically all in every leg anyways. So, like, that could not mean anything. But
yeah, I mean, I guess my thinking here is I didn't like the short priced horses for the most part.
Yes.
Like I look at this one horse and I'm like, I mean, is this really a turf horse? Did they really take this long to figure out he's a turf horse? The rail has not been great at Santa Anita so far, going a mile on turf. I think it's like 0 for 10 or something, which not a huge deal, but it's just like I'm not a horse I want to bet at 7-2 or 4-1. The Pratt horse I like even less. I mean, I hate last stop maiden breakers. I don't trust Los Al speed figs and Los Al form, and this horse hasn't even run on turf yet. And to take him as the favorite, especially when I don't know what went down, but Juan gets off for better or worse. I don't like that. And I guess he's not technically the favorite because the honors of that go to the 7, who is another horse that is probably the best horse in the field, but it's not a horse that I really want to build a ticket around. I mean, it's Rispoli, great. But once again, Juan is getting off. This is a horse that didn't improve at all in his second start, whether he regressed as much as Brisnet suggests, or maybe he paired more like time form suggests. I don't know. But either way, he definitely didn't improve in that win. And that's a low South fig, which might be kind of wonky. So I don't like any of the favorites here. That being said, the horses I did like was the
Say it.
3, Vivacious Vanessa. It's fun to say the name, so it's always a positive. This is a horse that closed from the absolute moon in her debut race at Santa Anita. That's not really an easy thing to do, especially for a guy that doesn't historically get a bunch of first-time out winners. And as I just talked about, Juan Hernandez has a lot of options here and ends up on this horse. I think this is definitely the most likely winner in this field, and he's the only one of the shorter price horses I kind of like. I did like 2 bombs here, but before I talk about everybody, I'll probably pass it to Brian and see what he thought.
Hi, I'll take the baton for the middle leg. It's interesting. The only note I had from capping that made sense to me is the 11 at 7-2 in the morning line. I didn't agree with. The workouts are nice, but I just don't see it. I don't want the post, even with Pratt aboard. I will let that horse beat me at 2-1, 9-5. Go ahead, beat me. That's fine. I landed very similar to Caleb. I like the 3. I do like the 7. I think the 7, it's going to be too short for like win bets or exactas. But if you're playing the mandatory here, I think the 7 plays well. Might play longer in the horizontals, and you'll see the tote board. But a horse I want to throw out there just because I can is the 5, Medea.
Yes.
So this horse is interesting in several different ways, and I'm not going to sound nearly as happy as that guy does, but last out speed, according to Briz, the 5 has the best figure in the field, if you go by that. But then you start looking at, form and some turf class, and you start saying, okay, what can this horse do? And it's one of those things where I'm not saying the 5 wins. I'm saying 20-1 on the 5 is a bit high for what the horse has in speed. The horse lacks some class, but Josh had told me that doesn't matter. I like Kyle aboard. Kyle's outrode some of these other jockeys at Santa Anita, for a little bit now. And it's one of those horses that, I hit the wrong button. It's one of those horses that, don't judge me right now. It's one of those horses that could surprise a lot of people when people are going to be singled on the 1, the 11, probably the 7. But, I'm sorry, Caleb, I did you no proud moments here on why I like the 5. It's just one of those things that stuck out to me when I start looking at the trainer and how the horse ran at this distance. And 20-1, I don't understand the morning line there at all.
That's fine. I'll cover it later, but Mark or Josh can probably jump in with all the jocks they like.
So if we want to talk about jocks that everyone likes, let's start with the number 12, Vaping Angel, with Mike Smith aboard. So Mike Smith, I mean, I don't understand how this man keeps on getting turf mounts, but if we want to talk, like, the one thing I did notice about this field is the short price horses didn't exactly have the greatest of turf form. They were getting based off of their dirt form and just hoping that it translates. And this 12 horse has won a listed stakes already, and at a mile, and is coming back to from open stakes company coming down to state bred stakes company. You get Mike Smith aboard, which once again does not instill the greatest confidence when it comes to turf, but he's posted outside. He's got a presser type horse that's going to try to make the 1 run. So he's got a game plan, and there's only one way he can do it. There's only one thing he can do. So I don't think he's going to get this horse in trouble. This horse is going to be nice and wide, and is going to make that 1 run. And you're getting 15-1. So I think Vaping Angel makes a ton of sense here in this spot. I mean, this was just like one of those races where it's like all the only horses that had any kind of turf form were prices, but if you're a figures person, I mean, the dirt figures are way higher than any of these turf figures. So, I mean, I was trying to make a case for the 10, with Doug O'Neill and Joe Bravo. That the maiden race 2 back. That race kind of looked interesting. Looked like it might fit in this spot. And obviously the 8 horse, the Kent horse, has won a nice allowance or optional claiming race there on the lead, and why not come back to Santa Anita and see 1-for-1 at Santa Anita, see if can repeat there. You get Kent aboard. So I was kind of looking at outsiders in the spot, the 8, the 12. I know you weren't. I liked your 3, Caleb, a bit in this spot, and I did like the 1. I know you weren't a huge fan. The 1 has just been working like an absolute monster. You got Dynaformer on the top. Well, it's Mr. Big, but you got Turf Influence up there. You got Turf Influence on the bottom. I know Mr. Big has not exactly been great to start with Turf, but the grandsire for sure is definitely a turf influence. So I thought the 1 made a ton of sense as well. I think you mentioned something about the rail maybe not being great, so that might be a knock against the horse, but at least based on pedigree with it trying the turf for the first time, the way the horse has been working, I think the 1 makes a lot of sense at a short price. I mean, you might get way shorter than 4-1, but I was a fan of the 1 and the 3 here at 4-1 on the line, and then I like those 2 long shots, the Kent horse and the Mike Smith horse on the outside. Mark.
Yeah, so I was all about the 3 here, and then I heard Caleb, gushing poetically about a Juan horse. So I all of a sudden got very, very, very concerned and decided that I might hop to another horse that none of you guys have talked about, and that's the 6, Eleuthera, I think is how you say it. Horse with a ton of turf pedigree, both top and bottom. 3 sibs, all are fulls, all are winners, and all are turf winners, including King Eddie, who is got 7 wins and 135K, 5 turf wins. So family is really good and really likes turf. And if you are a time form person, the fastest time form fig on turf of any horse in the field is by the 6 Eleuthera. So I thought this is the kind of horse who's lightly raced, has every right to improve. And from the first turf start to the second turf start was a massive improvement. Probably doesn't need very much improvement off that last out to be a pretty massive player here. Realize probably a little bit further off the pace than you necessarily want, and maybe the horse is a case of the hangs, hanging twice at a mile on the turf. But I'm going to get 15-1. At least I would imagine I get every bit of 15-1 on this horse. Probably more like 20 or 30-1. And if you need a price in here, I thought the 6 Eleuthera made a ton of sense.
Did nobody take the 8?
Josh liked the 8.
Yeah, I like the 8.
Sorry, I must have missed that when the kid came down. Sorry.
No.
Yeah,
I'm super excited that both of my bombs were talked about by Josh and Mark, believe it or not. The 5 and 6 were both the bombs I liked here for all the reasons y'all kind of addressed.
What the hell? You give Mark credit for my pick?
No, he gave me credit for your pick. I didn't talk about the 5 or the 6.
Brian and Mark. Sorry.
You're dead to me, Dennis. I mean, Caleb.
Brian had the 5, and then Mark had the 6, and those are the 2 bombs I liked for the reasons they talked about. So I'll take those, 10 times out of 10 before I'll take a horse like the Pratt horse or even the 1 horse who I don't hate quite as much, but still, give me 20-1 versus 5-2 on a horse trying something new for the first time.
Cool. Yeah, I like I said, I think that this last race is definitely gonna have the most room for kind of chaos and for us to maybe spike a nice price here, but yeah, what else is kind of I saw that I know we got a couple minutes left. I saw that there was a certain horse. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, it's not open here. I saw certain horses making his comeback at Oaklawn Park.
Is it Country House?
It's concert tour.
Really?
Yep, concert tour is running in the 5th season on Saturday, going a mile on the dirt. Mark, I believe, were you the one who was really salty about this Atoka horse coming back, or was that you, Caleb?
Not me.
Oh,
me.
you know what? It was Steve. It was Evil Bob Dole. It was Steven. Because he had Caddo River, I think, and Atoka got put up. Caddo River got DQ'd in that race. So I think he had an irrational hate for this horse. But yeah, concert tour coming back after 245 days. Silver Prospector also coming in from a long layoff. You get Long Range Toddy, Snapper Sinclair, Mucho, Thomas Shelby, Rated R Superstar, Necker Island.
It's like a has-been reunion.
Yeah, it's
that's like the who's who of horses that never quite got there.
Like this is like a quintessential like listed stakes, right? You get all the old Derby dropouts.
Where's Tax?
I believe Tax is still bleeding.
You
Right?
know,
Wasn't
people,
Tax was the one that had the bleeding issue, right?
Yeah.
yeah, people are still waiting for that horse to round into form. Had so much promise as a 2-year-old.
That's funny. Chase is saying Oaklawn Superstars. Yeah. But I don't know. I thought this was kind of a fun race. There's a bunch of names in here. I mean, Concert Tour is going to take all the money just based off a name. And, you know, we'll see what that horse was, or what that horse is. I mean, I think after that Arkansas Derby, everyone kind of wrote the horse off. So I don't really know what's going on. Dennis likes a superstar. Dennis likes Rated R Superstar in the spot. You get Mucho coming back off the stretch out. So it's an interesting race. It's probably one I will not be betting on because I have not been betting Oaklawn because I've just been getting absolutely murdered. But I'll definitely be taking a look.
Yeah, I'm just glad that the Concert Tour gets to go to a nice, clean barn like Brad Cox runs. Situation. Gets out to that clean barn that Brad keeps. You know, what a good spot for Concert Tour. Really clean up the image.
All right, guys. Well, what else you got going on this weekend, Mark? What are you focused on this weekend? I know you got something else that you're looking at.
Yeah, FloCal is going to be my focus this weekend. 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, every race at Gulfstream, every race at Santa Anita. So I will be degenning fairly hard while skiing. So yeah, should be a fun time. But no, excited for FloCal. As long as I'm going to just mute Caleb for like a 48-hour period, and I'll be good to go.
You don't want my Gulfstream picks?
I don't want to hear you. I just want to pretend you don't exist for a 48-hour period. Something about the Mountaineer Shipper thing needs to go away. So,
Not yet.
Caleb, what you got this weekend?
Nothing much. This is kind of probably the last, I think, slow weekend in racing for me anyway. I think the following weekend, I know we have Lecomte stakes coming up at Fairgrounds, and then I think after that, it's pretty much a big Derby prep every weekend from now until May. So I'll be light this weekend. Like I mentioned earlier, I've been doing shockingly well at Fairgrounds, so I may dabble there a little bit, but I don't think I'll be going after anything too much.
What about? I hear that there may be a battle on the bay.
Oh yes, so I know that we're not necessarily still promoting Stable Duel the way that we were, but they're having a $30,000 contest at Tampa Bay Downs this weekend. I looked at the card. It's not like a Sam F. Davis Tampa Bay Derby kind of card. It's just like a basic ass Saturday at Tampa. They're guaranteeing $30,000. I would be surprised if they get half of that. So there's going to be a monumental overlay, and I'll have at least a couple stables in. I think it's only like $50 buy-in, so I'm going to be involved with that for sure. As much as I do struggle with Tampa, I'll just need to get Mark's picks.
There's 3 stakes races at Tampa on Saturday. What are you talking about? A typical Saturday at Tampa?
I mean, aren't they like listed stakes though?
Yeah, but just think about how much worse the racing would be if they didn't have those 3 stakes races. So
Yeah, it's the prep for the
Sam
Tampa Bay
F.
Derby.
Davis.
Yeah. I think it's $50 for the entry, and I could be mistaken. I didn't check. Yeah, talking to Road Warrior.
Brian, what you got?
I'm not sure yet. I wasn't planning on having 2 days off. Tomorrow is my birthday, and we're doing nothing because of the situation here in my house. So it will be a very laid back weekend. Hopefully, everybody's getting healthy and recovering.
Tomorrow's your birthday?
It is
How old are you going to be?
27.
Oh, nice. Me too.
He's turning 39 for about the 8th time.
Yeah. And you're combing your hair for the 12th.
Yeah, I will be. I'll be in that stable duel contest for sure. I might fire away and see if I can win another seat in one of the that last chance, first chance for Bally's.
Why wouldn't you try for an NHC seat? Just put your big boy pants on, spend up, get yourself a seat in NHC. Then you can hang out with Sheldon. All the cool kids.
Don't you already have a seat in the last chance?
I do. You can get like 4 in that contest.
Yeah, you can get 4. 4 is max.
But I don't know. Murphy talked it up like a mini NHC, and he said it was really fun. So hopefully things go well. But yeah. So next week, just so you guys know the plan, and sorry, I was just trying to show off PDT's gift to me there. Next week, we'll be doing our yearly recap / awards show here. We're gonna do a little slightly different format, but we'll have a couple of categories. So we will hopefully see you guys all there. We'd love to have your guys' input as we argue and see who are our winners of this year's prestigious On the Wrong Lead Awards. Yeah, that's the plan for next week. The week after that, we'll be in Vegas, so we'll figure it out. I'll have my laptop with me, so maybe we can do a stream somewhere. But yeah, we got that going on, and then yeah, we're gonna try and do some more impromptu stuff, more live betting. Unfortunately, Turfway for some reason decided not to run anymore on Thursday nights until at least February. So once that starts back up, and maybe Sam Houston gets some slightly longer cards, maybe we'll start firing away there. Maybe we'll get a little bit earlier, but yeah, that's kind of the plan going forward. So we will catch you guys next week as usual. Catch us at wrong_lead on Twitter. Our YouTube obviously is youtube.com/ontherwronglead. Buy a t-shirt or notebook or mug or sweater. I don't know what else you ordered, Mark, but go ahead and get that at ontherwronglead.com. And we will.
I got a notebook. We now have a whole selection of new notebooks. There's multiple choices with different pages and spiral bound or really bound or whatever else. So the notebooks are killer. All the cool kids have them.
I don't want to say anything about being the old guy on the stream, but you're using a notepad. So get off my grass, Capitan. L. Capitan.
L. Capitan.